With Sasha Banks addressing her future and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for September 10th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With Braun Strowman recently making his return to WWE and demolishing the Alpha Academy last night on SmackDown, Dutch Mantel urged WWE to learn from AEW when booking Strowman. See, I'm not a big guy fan, since they are hard to book because one time you gotta kind of get him down, beat him up. Actually, take something off of them because if they win, then all of a sudden they don't win, their shine kind of dulls a little bit. But I think WWE could take a cue from AEW and kind of not book these guys on back-to-back SmackDowns. Giving more advice to WWE when it comes to their booking, Dutch Mantel had this to say about the company's use of Gunther facing Sheamus and his brawling brutes. Ain't not a dime in those guys, there is money in Gunther. Keep him alive. And I think Sheamus, him and Gunther win at it one time, but at the end, Sheamus was not even seen. That's why he went backward. And I think Gunther went a little bit backward because you've got to protect assets like that. You can't throw him out there. To me, you just can't throw them out there in a six-man tag and expect them to keep their steam, because there was nothing for him to keep his steam on here. I'm talking from a booking point of view. That's what I'm thinking. But you're right, when they got into the ring, it got electric because they remembered Clash at the Castle. What a match they had. I mean, a brutal match, but this didn't even come close to it. When asked about changing his mind about wrestling on the WWE main roster, former NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa told Fightful, "I get asked this all the time. Having a successful neck surgery, huge factor. Going into that and having the pain I had for as long as I had, it always felt like your career's ending soon. And now I don't feel that way. Now I feel like, oh, you might have just finished the first half of your career. I've learned how to wrestle with it, and I'm not in pain. Having a child, having the pandemic happen, and spending 3 years with her at home and having that time, and now she's at the point she's with me right now at SummerSlam. A lot has changed. My life has changed. My maturity has changed. The opportunities are exciting to me. There's a lot of new opponents for me to face. It's hard to put it on one thing. The way I take care of my body, I just feel like, oh shoot, okay, I'm 37. If I go till 55, I'm at the halfway point. We've got a long ways to go." It's the same concept. He's got some neck issues too, like everybody else that wrestles. You just learn. We got a cool medical team too. They're great, dude. You get those people who are helping you with the strength and conditioning, guys like Coach Hayes and Tyrant, who's a PT. So many people who are just educating you, and the more you get educated, the more you start to learn like, oh, I can get longevity out of my career doing this. Recalling his feud with Bron Breakker from NXT, Dolph Ziggler revealed on Casual Conversations why this program was extended. It was kind of cool because with this business, some days you open your phone and you're like, hey, you're going to London tomorrow at 6 a.m. He said, and you go, okay. And you go, this was one of those things that for a month or two ahead of time, they're like, could you see working with Breakker? What do you think here? I was like, oh, this is exciting and fun. And I'm getting a little bit of a different take on my character. I thought this would be really cool. And it ended up going so well and working so smoothly with Breakker, who was very comically new, only a handful of matches. For that to go as well as it did and have that chemistry and camaraderie that we did, we ended up extending it 3 more weeks than we were going to. Talking about Triple H taking over creative in WWE, coach and producer for the company, Dudley told the Two-Man Power Trip podcast that with this new regime with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, which I'm extremely happy about, I think everything is happy. Just for the simple fact that we're all happy with what Vince McMahon did for 50 years plus, but sometimes with every company and new whatever it is, it's always good for fresh and new ideas. Triple H brings that. We're not discounting what Vince did for the past 50 years. Sometimes you need a little change, and I'm happy about that. With all that going on right now, the responsibility for me has picked up a little bit, and I'm happy about that because I get to do my ideas, and me and Hunter have a good relationship. Him and Stephanie both when I had my stroke 2 years ago. Stephanie left me a message on my answering machine telling me, "I heard you're doing well and everything is good. I want to make sure you're doing great. I want to hear it out of your mouth and not anybody else's." Of course, I heard that message and it made me feel a little special, just for the simple fact that she and Hunter didn't have to do that, but they were very concerned about me. You could say, am I a Hunter guy? Yes. Am I a Vince McMahon guy? Yes. Am I a Paul Heyman guy? Yeah. All those guys have done well with me, which is why I love working for WWE. On the F4W online message board, Ryan Frederick of the Wrestling Observer noted that the Young Bucks, when having their options picked up on their AEW contracts last year, sent out feelers to WWE saying they didn't sign new deals. Their options were picked up. They did reach out to a talent to send feelers that they would be interested in talking about coming in when their deals are up. But everyone on both sides are going to do the same because you want to look for the best deal. Anyone who doesn't do so is dumb and possibly leaving money on the table. Speaking about CM Punk calling out Colt Cabana and the EVPs during the post-all-out media scrum, which led to a brawl between the Elite and Punk and then led to them all being sent home from the company and stripped of their titles, Booker T noted with Wrestling Inc. if this will lead to the death of the company like WCW. Not at all. Totally different. Our last days at WCW, you could see the writing on the wall that the plug had been pulled. We were just waiting on the doctors to come tell everybody it's over, you know what I mean? Right now, Tony Khan's still got a whole lot of money. He's invested, he's all in, no pun intended, with this company. And I think he's going to do everything he possibly can to make this thing work. I wouldn't even think Tony Khan is going to even start thinking about anything other than making this thing successful. If he gets to that 5-year mark and things not working out, he might start thinking then. During an interview with NBC Sports Boston, former AEW star Bobby Fish would recall his match with CM Punk from October of last year on Dynamite, where he said, "I'm working for AEW. They're paying my check. You ask me to put my shoulders down for Phil Brooks, I go out and do it." Interestingly enough, there was a little whatever in the match we had, and after the match, Phil was a Frankly, as a martial artist, I went out and laid my shoulders down for you. You should be grateful that I did, because on national TV, if I decided that I wanted to haku your ass, I could have, because you're that little of a threat in my world. I'm not John Jones or Anderson Silva, but I've been doing martial arts long enough to where I can hold you like a wet nap, Phil Brooks. For you to be after for a mistake you made, it doesn't wear well. Not to mention, the movie finished me with, it's not his, it's Kenta's. Phil, you took a man's finishing move. Anyone who knows pro wrestling knows that's effed up. You weren't even decent enough to change the name. Kenta would post this quote from Fish and write on Twitter, "Hey Bobby, you are 100% right." With her yet to return to WWE following her walkout with Naomi over the summer, Sasha Banks spoke on H2 Radio about her future in entertainment. "There is so much that I'm kind of creating right now. It's all under an umbrella. Like I said, I'm an actor, writer, producer, and extraordinaire entertainer. And within those realms, I'm doing something. So you just have to stay tuned. You have a microphone. That's something big I want to do. Not podcasting, but music. That's probably, I don't know if that's the number one next thing, because acting, there are a lot of things coming up acting right now. I'm really starting to focus my mind around music and the music realm and being kind of a director in that space of creating a musical video piece." With Seth Rollins having a feud with Edge last year and breaking into his home during that, he mentioned on Out of Character who came up with the idea for that segment. I think it was Edge's idea, his brainchild to begin with. What it turned into was definitely a collaborative process. He's coming from the end of the Attitude Era, I guess, into kind of, that early 2000s where they did a lot more offside stuff. We were able to get it set, and I was able to go to Asheville and do it. So yeah, I think it was his idea and his push to kind of just do some different stuff, and again, it turned into one of these iconic kind of moments you're always going to remember. Talking about the success from their Clash at the Castle show in Cardiff, Corey Graves hinted at WWE hosting WrestleMania in the UK on After the Bell. In my opinion, in the opinion of Corey Graves and many other people who were backstage who were around the stadium in Cardiff, you guys have been clamoring for WrestleMania. I'd say you made a pretty strong case for yourselves to get one in the near future. Talking about his time on NXT as a part of the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish told NBC Sports Boston that their faction was broken up prematurely. I just think things changed and everything needs to evolve. I think we had evolved quite a bit in a very short time. Maybe we moved a little bit quicker than we needed to as far as the timing of when to pull the trigger on stuff and when not to. The people that made decisions at this time would probably agree that we split apart premature. I think there was more left for us to do as a unit. I think that was the plan, and then it wasn't the plan, and then it was the plan, and then it wasn't. Then they just weren't sure what to do. So we pulled the trigger. You learn from your mistakes. On Casual Conversations, Dolph Ziggler mentioned the potential for a WrestleMania match against Shinsuke Nakamura. I would like to do an hour with Shinsuke and have it tie into his MMA and striking background and my wrestling background, so we kind of have an MMA style feel to it with a build, and 45 minutes to an hour to make that where you see where your body does that fight or flight halfway through to where you go, this is some legitimate stuff, and make it up maybe like over in Japan where it's not quite genuine UFC MMA fight, but it's pretty damn close. We can get some strikes and some chokes. That would be fun because I love Shinsuke. He does some of the coolest stuff. He's a great guy, and he's so good, and he understands this so well that we relate to each other so well, I think. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.